Recording in progress. Okay, so what I was saying when I was on mute is that working with many clients, hundreds and hundreds of clients over the last probably thousands of clients at this point, since the 1900s, I really have seen how our environment, our bedrooms can really, really impact our sleep. I even had a chiropractor, a kinesiologist that I saw after a car accident, and his wife was the office manager, and she was telling me she had migraines, and we were just talking, and I said, well, what's going on in your bedroom? And now this is not as common as it used to be, but they had a mirrored headboard in a custom made bed. So one of the things I found was that consistently men had insomnia and women had migraines very often. I would almost say all the time. And I'm trying to just make sure I need to see comments. Okay, anyway, there we go. So, no technology, don't get used to this. Okay, so, it turns out, well, so it turns out that chiropractor, his wife told me that she had migraines. She had missed a couple of days of work. I was like, oh, I missed you. And she's like, oh, I had a migraine. And that's how we found out she had a mirrored headboard. And she said something about her husband had horrible insomnia and was going to the fridge all night eating. And I just asked about what was in their room. And one of the things she said was they had a mirrored headboard. And she was not open to getting rid of it because it was custom made, even if it could possibly help them sleep better. It's amazing how we can get so attached to our stuff that way. Like, it's so special. So I said, well, why don't you just get some like pretty paper and cover it, or some fabric, or just put anything up in front of it that you can. And she did. And I came back in next week, and she's like, you wouldn't believe it. I'm like, you probably would. And she said, I haven't had a migraine, and my husband has been sleeping through the night. And when I went in to see him, I was very excited and heard you get a good night's sleep. He goes, I think there might be something here to what you're doing. He said, I've been treating people sometimes for years, trying to help them get a better night's sleep. And it never occurred to me that it might actually be their bedroom. He was not willing to refer me out to his clients. That. And I had another client, I've told the story many times. She was on 3 different sleeping medications and still had a very hard time sleeping through the night. And when I came into her bedroom, I always pick up on the energy of certain things in there. And there were pictures over her bed, and I'm like, tell me about those. And she instantly got very upset, very agitated, and like, those are from my brother. I'm like, how do you feel about your brother? And she goes, I hate him. I absolutely hate my brother. I hate him. I said, well, why do you have his photographs above your bed? And she said, well, they're beautiful pictures. I'm like, they are, but you don't have to have them over your bed. And I mean, think about it, the anger that was building up as she'd go to bed. Yeah, that's gonna, they say don't go to bed angry. Well, so we redid her room. We moved bed around. The wall that she faced when she went to bed had all pictures of different people and events that she had participated in over her life. It brought her incredible joy. Before you know it, she was off those 3 medications and sleeping at night. So I find myself that my bedroom has a very big impact on how I sleep myself. One of the things that I'll say is the direction that my head faces. Now, look, I know there will always be an exception to the rule. There are always exceptions. What I will say I have found, and the majority of people I have worked with have found, is, and when I have had clients sometimes that are having a hard time sleeping, one of the things we found is the direction, north, south, east, west, my cardinal directions, that that your head faces when you go to sleep. I find that a lot of people sleep best with their head in the east. That is not always possible. I find the least optimal is usually the west. There is something about the pull of the earth and the setting sun. If you think about it, there's like, as opposed to the sun, I think, kind of pulling us up. I would say the second best direction for your head to face is facing south, and then north, and then west. I will say in my own bedroom, the best place for the bed to face would be with my head in the west. It definitely would be a better place decor-wise, interior design-wise, absolutely. But you know what? I have nightmares. I do not have sound sleep with my head in the west. Never have. And I didn't realize how much that was true until I started learning about this. And then, so right now, it doesn't completely work. There is a window partially over my head, but I do have some solid, I have blinds, and then I have curtains, and I feel more secure, and headboard-ish, created headboard for right now. And that has made a big difference. Another thing is colors. For some people who want a good night's sleep, cool, soothing colors work beautifully. Blues and greens, more neutrals if you're a neutral kind of person, even lavenders, but bright colors can really impede sleep. And I will say this, I have had many families that I've worked with over the years that who had a little girl, inevitably, it's almost like you could script this. Just as they were telling me, I'd come at, after bedtime, I'd sometimes go later at night after bedtime, and they'd tell me, well, kind of in a whisper, she has a really hard time sleeping. And I would say, well, what colors is her bedroom? And inevitably, the little girl always slept in hot pink and bright lavender. I was just saying lavender. There's a soothing kind of lavender, and then there's a lavender, like orchid. And inevitably, she'd wake up and come running out in her hot pink jammies. I can tell you, my daughter never wore pink, yellow, orange, red pajamas. In fact, half the time she was in little boy pajamas. Anything that was blue, green, gray, we were down for that. And it's funny because little boys seemed to sleep better. Now, I'm sure there's a lot of reasons for that, but I'm just sharing with you consistencies that I have seen working with many people and in my own life, being an observer of how our homes deeply affect us. Another thing is just the artwork on your bedroom walls. How invigorating is it? Is it something that even, gets you really excited? Or, something that gets you angry, like that client who had the photography? There's that. And I also want to come back and say, I am speaking specifically about good night's sleep. If you have a bedroom that you share with your beloved and you want to have more romance, some of these are a little counterintuitive, like the cool, soothing colors are not always the greatest choice for romance. Blues and greens, especially that kind of cobalt blue color, I always call that like the not tonight honey color. It's just like there's something unsensual for most people. Again, this is not a cookie cutter, one size fits all. I'm giving you more generalities of what I have found works for most people that I have worked with. Not everybody. There are always, somebody will say, I only sleep well with my head in the west, and somebody will probably come back and say, I only can sleep if I'm in a bright neon bedroom. We're all different, and that's where my work is about honoring individuals, and why working one-on-one, I get to really truly help somebody customize their solutions specifically for their home and their life. It's all about you. So I also want to just talk about the sensory experience of your bedroom. I know for me, fabric is a very big deal. I cannot sleep on synthetic fibers, meaning I can only sleep on cotton. I've never really slept on silk. It just feels like it'd be a little slippery for me. But cotton, silk, linen blends, that's what I need. I cannot, that microfiber, it's polyester. And maybe because I grew up in the 80s, but oh my God, I cannot sleep on plastic. I cannot sleep on plastic. I need natural fibers. I also prefer a heavier comforter and a duvet cover. You know, some people, like my mom, she likes a thin blanket. Drives me crazy. I feel like there's nothing there. I like a heavier blanket. So, you know, just looking at what do you need as far as textures. Maybe you're somebody who just truly loves velvet and those kind of sensual, silky fabrics, and that feels really nurturing to you and soothing so you can fall asleep easier. Maybe it's time to treat yourself, even to a pillow. And then noise also. You know, sometimes we need, you know, you might live on a busy street. You might need some soundproofing if you have noisy neighbors. And even you might need some kind of, there are, especially on YouTube, binaural beats where you can have some kind of ambient music that is helping do some really profound healing with the sound waves. That might be something to consider if there are outside noises that are distracting for you. And then light. I am so light sensitive. Probably part of why I was a lighting designer. Like I would always put something under the door if when I lived with my partner, he'd go to bed later than me and the lights on and off. And, you know, I had to keep something underneath the door because not only did the sound come under, but the lights. And then I found as I moved the bedroom around and I had my head by the window, it faces south and the moon is very bright and our trees got trimmed. So I found that during the full moon, not only was the moon already keeping me up, oh my gosh. The moonlight was so much brighter, even just through the cracks in between the blinds. So I've just recently put up some light blocking curtains. And with my daughter, she did not sleep well. She was not a great sleeper. So I had to start, especially in the summer, parents with young children dread, you know, it's light out till practically 9:30 here. At 6 o'clock every night, I'd go around and close all the blinds and start to, and I had blackout curtains, you know, and they went to the, you know, and then I had the curtain rods that curved around to the wall so that you didn't have the light coming through the wall. And I'd hang them as high as I could to the ceiling so it wouldn't come out the ceiling. I mean, I was into it. It made such a difference. So those things are things to consider. Another thing to consider is which way your bed is facing. There is something, and I know this is something they talk about in feng shui, that you don't want your bed facing the door so that your feet can go out. They call something about the coffin, like you're going to die and get carried out. Well, there is something about not being startled. It's why most of the time people in charge, the principal, the president, the CEO, their desk faces the door because you don't want to be startled. There is something very unnerving of not knowing when somebody's sneaking, or it's not even sneaking, walking up behind you. And it's the same thing with your door in your bedroom. So ideally, you would have your bed facing the door, that you can see the door, but not necessarily in line with the door, because then you have all that energy and it's not just doesn't feel as necessarily safe and private when you when your bed is lined up with the door, but it is ideal to do that. Which gets me to the point of mirrors, because some people be like, well, I just put a mirror. Mirrors increase the energy bouncing around in a room. I think it was 80%. I asked a physicist once about mirrors, and because there's a lot of things. Mirrors can bounce light, but they also can bounce energy. And I've always found it harder to sleep in a room. If there's any light, it will bounce off the mirrors. Also, if you get up in the middle of the night, you might be startled by the light or by seeing yourself. I just have found that it's worthwhile to not have mirrors in the bedroom. Some people are very, very attached to it. And in that case, I would say, if you can hang something over it, a beautiful tapestry or a piece of fabric. Some mirrors, are the trifolds, and you can close it off. Look, if you're having a hard time sleeping, my God, I don't know, it's just such a key point of well-being, of physical and mental and emotional well-being. I was amazed. I was not very good at getting 7 hours of sleep until I got diagnosed with ADHD and started learning more about my brain, and come to find out that the brain is self-cleansing and it needs 7 hours to cleanse itself. And I do find that's my sweet spot. Got to have my 7 hours at least. 8 is ideal, yes, but as mom, 7 hours is that sweet spot for getting to sleep. So know what I'm suggesting. If you find intuitively that is something that is speaking to you, give it a try. I mean, putting a piece of fabric over a mirror for a week or two, or a month even, to see if you sleep better, kind of worth it to me. Try it out, and hey, if it doesn't work, you can always call back and say, it didn't work, what else? So obviously, another thing that can really prevent sleep from being beneficial and helpful is clutter. And look, I understand. I get it. Clutter can really be a challenge. And I have a decluttering course that you can check out on my website, chrissyayers.com. But what I would say is, I do think if you are having a challenge with sleep, trying your best to declutter, even if it means just to shuffle into a closet or someplace else, to give it a try to see if it helps you sleep, might be worth it. So it might be a good place to start. And then if you have, that chair, wherever the clothes pile up, if you have the treadmill or the chair or on top of your dresser, that's a good place to start. Clearing it off and maybe removing the treadmill or the chair from the room so it doesn't pile up. Too many books, bookshelves even, can be a deterrent to good sleep, because they just get our minds racing so much. Don't get me wrong. I love bookshelves, and I think you should populate everywhere. But I think besides a small pile on the bedside table, books are not always beneficial for everyone in their bedroom. Of course, yes, for some people, wall-to-wall books and is the most soothing, comforting thing they can find. Keep it. I'm not saying get rid of it. I'm only saying if you're having a hard time sleeping, that might be a reason or a contributing reason. I also just want to say, many times I had clients who one share a bed with a spouse, and one of them snores. And I just want to say, it's okay if somebody needs to sleep in another room. Sometimes that's just the nature of how life happens, and you'd be surprised how much more often it happens. Yeah, yeah. It's about making it work. And look, I also believe that for a lot of people, our bedrooms are where we sleep, or where you connect with your beloved. They are not super active rooms with a lot of stuff. You need to have a lot of stuff in them. So what I think that homes are often designed in a really backwards way. I don't think that the primary suite needs to be some huge, massive room. That room might be better used for children. Actually, my daughter right now has the primary room in our house because she has a lot more toys. She has a lot more stuff. And honestly, it just makes a lot more sense. My bedroom is the smallest bedroom, and this is another bedroom that is an office studio space that I just needed more space to spread out and work. I don't need that much space to sleep. And so that's what feels. And I understand that for some people that would feel horribly lackful and they need a big expansive bedroom. And if it's working for you, great. I just want to say that, bedrooms and our homes are not always designed for how we really use them anymore. How many people have dining rooms that don't use them and would be better used as a yoga studio or a Lego room? Sometimes a dining room is a great playroom for kids because it's next to the kitchen. Their mom can keep an eye on them, or the dad, or the grown-ups that take care of them. Or a place for a home office. Claim your room, claim your home for how you need it to serve you and what you want in your life. Yeah. So I hope this has been helpful. Perhaps will help you have a better night's sleep. I wish you great sleep, and I hope to see you again soon.